I had a lot of friends who threatened to come up here and slap me during my performance, and I'd just like to say, please don't. First of all, that's just assault. You're not rich. You're not an actor who starred in beloved classics such as Shark Tale, Wild Wild West, and Bad Boys 2. So it's not going to end up as well for you as it did for him. Second of all, I am not a tough man. I will cry. And I don't think anybody here wants to see that, because if there's one thing that brings down the aesthetics of stand-up comedy even further, it's somebody crying while performing stand-up comedy. Because I'm going to be real with you here. You look like a crowd I can trust with an industry secret. Thank you. Comedy isn't sexy. And I know that a lot of my fellow comics have done their best to kind of rehabilitate that image over the past year or so. But they're fighting uphill in deep snow. For every comedian that sits on an audience member's lap during their set, they might win that battle, but we are all losing the war. If the phrase is "there's plenty of fish in the sea," then stand-up comedy should be an oil spill. Because if you find a stand-up comedian attractive, I think there might be something wrong with you. Like for me, if I tell somebody I do stand-up comedy and they immediately respond to that information by trying to hit on me, that's a red flag for me. Because it should have been a red flag for them. And I think what gets people confused is that being funny is sexy. Being able to make people laugh is like a good quality to have. But being able to do that for 20 to 30 drunk people in a bar or in the basement of a Donato's, thank you. It's not good. No, it's a bizarre mutation that should have died out a long time ago. But yeah, because that's so I make sure to tell everybody that, because that's exactly what I need in my dating life, is a handicap. It's like I'm playing golf. Lowest score wins. Dating is tough though. Dating is tough. I recently re-downloaded a few apps just so I can try and make some decent connections before I leave the state forever. And I gotta say, there are an ungodly amount of meth addicts in Central Ohio that I did not know about, because every third bio or so, all they can talk about is crystals. And then I match with them and I tell them about my meth lab, trying to form a connection, and they get weird about it. And I just think, really, this is just a screed against online double standards. But no, for real. There are a lot of crystal people around here, and I got nothing but love for y'all. I just don't understand it. And as a Catholic, sorry, not anymore. As somebody who was raised Catholic, my primary response to something I don't understand is fear. So if you tell me about magic rocks that can cure bad vibes, I'm like 2 steps away from grabbing the nearest crucifix and chanting in Latin. I'm just like, one of my siblings is actually looking into starting to work at a crystal shop, and for some reason they sent me the employee handbook. They thought I'd be good at this kind of thing. I'm not. But they asked me to look over, and I said, sure, I will. And I noticed some weird stuff in there, like if you bring in bad spirits, you have to wait outside for 15 minutes while they do a cleansing. The number 13 doesn't appear in the document anywhere at all. But the most interesting thing to me was I looked in their employee healthcare coverage policies, and I noticed that the most popular one had their priorities were a bit misplaced, because it had nothing to do with mental health, no therapy, nothing like that, because that's clearly, mental health is a scam. Everybody knows this. But what it did cover is 5 free visits per year to a local psychic. So I'm sitting there reading this, and I'm imagining, like, you walk in, you read a Golf Digest or whatever, and then, you go in and they pull out like a deck of tarot cards, and they're like, all right, we'll begin the reading. The moon, symbolizing extreme anxiety. The Hierophant, signifying total social isolation. And the Fool, which signifies excessive crying. Based on the reading here, I believe that if you ever visit a medical professional, you will be diagnosed with depression. That'll be $40, thank you. One last joke for you guys. I was recently on a phone call with somebody who I know who doesn't see a lot of movies. I was talking, we were having a fine conversation, and they brought up, oh, hey, so I finally saw Joker. And I immediately tightened up. I should have hung up. I just didn't want to be rude. So I was like, oh, yeah, what'd you think? And they said the same thing everybody says. It was like, oh, it's so suspenseful. Fuck that movie. And then they were like, but actually I was watching it and like, the Joker kind of reminded me of you, as if I hadn't heard that every day since that movie fucking came out. And I was like, oh yeah, how so? And they were like, well, you're both adopted. You're both stand-up comedians, and neither of you are funny. And I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just said, thanks, Mom, I'll call you next week. That's been my set, everybody. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful audience. Please welcome back to the stage, Christine!